I'm not even a tour guide here. Good morning and welcome back to my channel. And you join me at Stansted Airport. And I'm off for a day trip to Edinburgh. And I've arrived in Edinburgh. 1 hour flight on Ryanair and then caught the tram from the airport all the way to St Andrew's Square. Absolutely brilliant. 30 minutes it took, only £9.50 for a return journey. I do like my trams. I like riding on trams. In this video I'm going to take a walk up the Royal Mile towards the castle, and we'll discover tales of execution on the way, interesting vicars, a famous dog, and the origins of Harry Potter. I'm going to see what else we can discover here as well, in Edinburgh city centre. We're starting with the building on my left, which is the former bank, the former British Linen Bank, and the initials BLB are written on the top. The British Linen Company was founded in 1746 by a man called Andrew Fletcher. He was known as Lord Milton and was a prominent lawyer and political figure here in Scotland. The company began proceedings to form a bank in 1764 and eventually became a bank in 1813. However, it was refused permission to call itself a bank and eventually did so in 1906. The company was bought out in 1970s by the Royal Bank of Scotland, and the building, well, it was no longer needed, so they converted it into a hotel and a little bistro underneath. Really is a nice little building here in the centre of Edinburgh, and it's very busy here as well. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of pedestrians, a lot of tourists, which is great to see. It's great to see a city centre full of tourists just like me. But let's head on a little further and explore the old church. It's just on the other side of the road. And this is the Tron Kirk, or church, because the Scottish word for church is actually kirk. And the church was founded in the 17th century, and it closed in 1952 for regular worship. The name comes from the weighing beam called the Tron, Scottish word, which served the people of the market. People would bring their produce here to have it weighed officially by the Tron. And the market stood outside the church until around 1800. But it's also a site of execution. On the 8th of January 1697, Thomas Aikenhead, a 20-year-old student, became the last person in Scotland to be hung for the crime of blasphemy, and he was hung outside this church. But they also have a naughty vicar here. In 1681, a vicar by the name of Robert Bruce was dismissed after just a few months in the post for refusing to take the solemn oath. There were two other interesting vicars here. William Wishart was appointed in 1707 and he died in 1729. But it's his son George who was appointed from 1730 and is the longest minister who actually served the church. Lasted 55 years in the post, passing away in 1785. Now what's interesting is his daughter married a man called Baron von Westphalen, and she was the grandmother of Jenny von Westphalen, and she was the wife of Karl Marx. It's an interesting little bit of trivia there. But the church today, as I say, it closed in 1952, and it's now a market. Lots of stalls in there selling locally produced arts and crafts from local talented artists. It's wonderful to see. I just had a walk round. Really interesting. But the church still retains its character as a church, complete with stained glass windows and a few wall plaques as well, which is really interesting to see. Now let's head on a little further up the Royal Mile and discover an execution site. It's lovely here walking around Edinburgh. I think I was last here back in 1992, 30 odd years ago. It's just as I remembered it. It's absolutely beautiful here, it really is. And say, so many people out and about, so many tourists here. We're not even in the height of the tourist season. But it is nice to see tourists out. And the buskers in full force as well. Lone Piper down at the bottom of the hill opposite the Kirk. But I'm just coming up now to the tourist information area, and outside is a cross marked on the pavement, and this is the site of the Mercat cross. Between 1617 and 1756, numerous people were executed here on this site. Some were burnt at the stake, some were broken on the wheel, and others were executed on the maiden, which was an early form of guillotine, and far less efficient than the modern guillotine we depict in films from the French Revolution. What a nasty way to die. And just behind is the statue of Adam Smith. Well, he was a Scottish economist, he was a philosopher and the author of The Wealth of Nations. And the fine sculpture there was unveiled on the 4th of July 2008. The sculptor was a man called Alexander Stoddart. And just behind the statue, well, that's the actual Mercat cross. And behind me is the statue of James Braidwood, born in 1800. And he was a Scottish firefighter and the first master of engines in the world's first municipal fire service here in Edinburgh in 1824. He was the first director of the London Fire Engine establishment, and this was the brigade that eventually became the London Fire Brigade. And he's credited actually with the development of modern municipal fire services. Brilliant man. Unfortunately, he lost his life in a fire. Died in Tooley Street fire in London on the 22nd of June 1861 when a wall fell on him just a few hours after the fire began. And there's a great statue of him here in Edinburgh, and it's lovely to see statues of men like James Braidwood, people who were real pioneers in their chosen fields. Absolutely brilliant. It looks like there's another film crew just behind the statue filming some, well, whatever they're filming, but it can't be as good as my YouTube videos. If you do enjoy them, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow my journeys around the world to all the interesting places that I visit, and I'll try and persuade them to subscribe as well. But now let's move on a little further and see what else we can discover here in Edinburgh. busy here. Just so many people. And trying to film on the Mile here is incredibly difficult. I filmed on O'Connell Street in Dublin. And that was hard enough with the people around. But I'm dodging the buskers here. Now, I love to hear buskers, but when I'm trying to deliver a piece to camera, I don't want to hear the buskers because their music will give me a copyright infringement on YouTube, and I don't want that. But it's nice to see men out wearing kilts as well. Past quite a few. Nice to see. And those postal boxes as well. Nice Type C postal box, painted gold. It's a reminder of the Olympic Games in London back in 2012. And the Type B, well, red, white and blue, very patriotic colours. Absolutely lovely to see that. But this is St Giles Kirk, the cathedral here. Absolutely beautiful inside. Fantastic stained glass windows. And the ceilings as well. Ceiling at the back of the kirk. Stonework is absolutely beautiful. And as for the one at the front, wow, that is absolutely incredible. That lovely blue colour, absolutely incredible. One of the most exciting cathedral interiors that I've visited in a long while. Absolutely beautiful. Just, yeah, absolutely lost for words looking at the internal architecture. But this is also another execution site here in Edinburgh. Deacon Brodie. He was hung here on the 1st of October 1788. Very respectable gentleman here in the city of Edinburgh. But by night I should say, he was a gambler and a thief. And justices caught up with him and he was hung here. But hopefully now we'll go somewhere a little quieter. So I want to find a grave to a famous dog. So let's go down to the cemetery and find that. And also the origins of Harry Potter. Just walk down from the city centre, across the George V Bridge towards Greyfriars Church and Cemetery. And there's a pub here, turn the camera around, called Greyfriars Bobby. And that relates to the terrier, the famous Greyfriars Bobby terrier. And his statue is just here behind these tourists. And there's loads of tourists all trying to photograph this dog statue, and his grave is just through here in the cemetery. So let's go and take a look, and I'll tell you all about Greyfriars Bobby. And just as I walk into the gates, I met with the grave of Greyfriars Bobby. Now he was a Skye Terrier, and he became well known for spending 14 years guarding the grave of his former owner, a man called John Gray. And he worked for Edinburgh City Police as a night watchman. And his grave is just up here. So let's go and try and find that. And then we'll see who else we can find here in Greyfriars Cemetery. And here we are, the grave of John Gray, the owner of Greyfriars Bobby. This is where the dog sat for 14 years, pining his master. There we go. The most famous graves here in Greyfriars Cemetery, or Greyfriars Kirkyard, I should say, because Greyfriars here is a kirk, a church, and so all kirks in Scotland of a kirkyard. Not a churchyard, so let's call it a kirkyard as we're in Scotland. But there we go. The grave that we've come to see. Interesting. And there's his friend James Brown lying somewhere nearby. Isn't he lovely? But this cemetery is teeming with tourists. And I was hoping to have a nice quiet walk around, look at some of the gravestones, follow the map, and just read about some of the people who rest here. But everywhere I turn, I've got tourists with cameras trying to photograph almost the same things. And those are graves linked to Harry Potter, because J.K. Rowling wrote the first book of Harry Potter in a little cafe across the road from the cemetery. It was the Elephant Cafe, and she took inspiration from the names depicted on the tombstones, and they became characters in the Harry Potter series. Obviously the surname of Potter, and you've got Black, Moody, Scrimger and Crookshanks are all taken from graves here in the kirkyard, and quite a few of those. I think Crookshanks is behind me somewhere, and so is Black, but I'm not sure. Just too many tourists to walk around and spend time. I've got a busy filming schedule today and I'm running so behind. I've never come across a video that's so difficult to make because there are just so many tourists around. Everything I've tried to photograph and talk about, there's tourists trying to photograph the same thing as well. Very, very difficult. I've had quite a few people come up and ask me about where certain graves are. I'm not even a tour guide here. One or two were impressed that I had some notes with me. Yeah, I don't know. Do I look like a tour guide? But they're all looking for the Harry Potter graves, all the names, Black, Crookshank and Potter, and all the others linked to Harry Potter. All the film and the books. And there's no end of people. They're all looking for the same graves. Quite amazing, really. But there's quite a few people of note who are actually buried in the churchyard here. You got John Kay. He died on the 21st of February, 1826. He was a barber, a miniaturist, and social commentator. And there are quite a few others as well. If I come across any interesting stones, I'll put them on the screen as I talk. But there's George Wishart, the minister of Tron Kirk, and his father William as well. They're all both buried here. Spoke about them a little earlier in the video. And there's Matthew Hardy. He's buried here. He died in 1826, and he was the violin maker. He was dubbed the Scottish Stradivari because of the quality of the instruments that he made. And there's William Smellie as well. He died in 1795, and he edited the first edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica. That was rather interesting to discover that one. Discover him here as well. Can't find his grave yet, but I'll keep looking. But it really is lovely walking around here. Quite a list of people who were buried here. Lots of dignitaries and surgeons and other people of note from the city of Edinburgh. It really is beautiful here walking around, dodging the tourists. But let's take a little walk up here, because there's one more interesting grave that I do want to find. It's rather pleasant walking through here in the sunshine. Finally the sun has come out. Very grey and overcast this morning, but quite pleasant now. I've been having a walk around a little further, different areas of the kirkyard, trying to find the grave of Colonel Francis Charteris, and he was nicknamed the Rape Master General. He was a Scottish soldier and adventurer who earned a lot of money gambling and investing in the South Sea bubble. However, he was convicted in 1730 of raping his servant. He was subsequently pardoned and died of natural causes on the 24th of February 1732. Quite a interesting character. What else is interesting is the wall that's just here as well, and it's known as the Flodden Wall. It was erected following the Battle of Flodden, which the Scots lost to the English in 1315. The wall was completed in 1360 and formed part of the outer defences of the city of Edinburgh. Nice to see a piece of old wall that has survived history. Absolutely lovely. But just up here is the other grave that I want to look at. So let's go and have a look at that. And this is the grave behind me. It's called a mort safe, and it was designed to deter the resurrectionists. These were people that would go in after a burial and steal the body and sell it for anatomical use. But the 1832 Anatomical Act allowed for the supply of official corpses for use in medical research. And some have actually survived. And there's a brilliant example here in Greyfriars Kirkyard. And it's called Greyfriars because the friars here wore grey tunics, as opposed to the black friars who wore black tunics, and the white friars, that's right, they wore white tunics. So that's how they got their name. And I'm just, as I'm filming this, going to turn around and show you this grave here to a man called John Turnbull. And what a fantastic tombstone that is. And he was a baker. Very elaborate stone with castellated towers on the top. Absolutely wonderful. There really are some superb stones here, and they're all unique. And there's some huge mausoleums, family mausoleums as well. And some to very notable people, former bankers, investors and merchants from the city of Edinburgh. And if you're in Edinburgh, then have a walk around, look at some of the stones and read the inscriptions. They really are very interesting indeed. But now let's head on up towards the castle and see what we can discover up there. Made it to Edinburgh Castle, one of the oldest fortified palaces in the whole of Europe and one of the most famous landmarks in all of Scotland. It's a royal residence, a garrison, a prison and a fortress, and what an incredible building it is. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to visit the castle on this occasion, but I'm sure to return to Edinburgh in the near future and visit the castle, which is #1 tourist attraction here in Edinburgh. And all the seating that's going up around me, well, that's for the annual military tattoo, the Edinburgh tattoo, which they hold every year, which is a huge military spectacular, and it's incredible to watch. But the crowds are here as well, and they should be, because this is the #1 attraction here in Edinburgh. I've had a difficult day filming, so I hope this video is enjoyable to watch. It has been difficult to film with all the crowds, dodging the buskers and all the buses and coaches that keep driving past me whilst trying to film in the roads, a lot of noise as well, so my apologies if there's any extra noise in the video. But this is where I end the video, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow my journey, because tomorrow I'm in Dunfermline. Thanks for watching.